2020 has been an absolutely killer year for Samsung. Whether it be modest upgrades like the Galaxy S20 or radical improvements with the Galaxy Z Fold 2, the company has been firing on all cylinders. Now, while all of these phones have been joys to use, they've also been hindered by steep price tags. Now, whether it be the $1,000 regular Galaxy S20 or the $1,400 Galaxy S20 Ultra, buying a Samsung phone is not a decision that comes lightly in 2020. Looking to change the conversation around pricing and end the year with a bang, Samsung has launched the Galaxy S20 FE. The goal of the phone is to deliver that same flagship Galaxy experience for considerably less money, and for the most part, Samsung absolutely killed it. I'm Joe Marin with Android Central, and this is our full review of the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE Fan Edition. Right off the bat, let's talk about one of the FE's most impressive specs, and that's its price. The phone retails for $700, and we've already seen Samsung discount it to just $600. When you compare that to the Galaxy S20 Ultra, which costs $1,400, or about twice as much as this phone, it really puts things into perspective as to just how cheap it really is. Despite that low price tag though, the Galaxy S20 FE doesn't feel like it's only half as good as any other Samsung phone. In fact, there is more in common here than you probably might think. Now, it all starts with that display. The Galaxy S20 FE has a 6.5-inch Super AMOLED panel with a full HD Plus resolution. And as you'd expect for any flagship Samsung phone, it looks fantastic. Everything is perfectly crisp, colors are nice and vibrant, and blacks are super deep and rich. Making all of this better is the fact that the screen is flat. Now, I know there are some people out there that genuinely like curved displays, but coming from the Note 20 Ultra, it is a huge relief to have a Samsung phone with a screen that's actually flat. Now, it may not be as eye-catching or visually impressive to some people, but the flat screen means that you don't have to worry about things like accidental touches or flaky palm rejection, which are issues we had a lot of with the Note 20 Ultra. The cherry on top for all of this is that the Galaxy S20 FE has a 120Hz refresh rate. Just like we've seen on all of the other S20 models, this gives the S20 FE a sense of speed and fluidity that's really hard to live without once you've experienced it for a while. Now, this is great news for you and me that Samsung offers a 120Hz panel on a $700 smartphone, but it makes that $1,000 Note 20 with its 60Hz display feel even more out of place than it already did. Also contributing to the Galaxy S20 FE's speed is its processor. The phone is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865, and like we've seen in so many other devices from this year, it's an absolute beast. Whether you're opening a lot of apps, playing graphically intense games, or doing a bit of multitasking, everything feels really good on the S20 FE. Now, you do only have 6GB of RAM as opposed to 8GB or more on some of those higher end S20 models, but I think for most users, 6GB is still more than enough memory right now. Looking at other key specs for the Galaxy S20 FE, we have things like 128GB of internal storage, you can expand that up to 1TB with a microSD card, there's an IP68 rating for dust and water resistance, and a very generous 4500 mAh battery. That battery is more than large enough to get you comfortably through a full day of pretty heavy use, and then when it does finally come time to charge up, you can choose between 25W wired charging or 15W Qi wireless charging. There's even support for reverse wireless charging, which means if you have an accessory like the Samsung Galaxy Buds or any other device that charges with Qi, you can place it on the back of the S20 FE and charge it up that way. Now, given everything the Galaxy S20 FE does right, one would kind of assume that Samsung made some deep cuts with the cameras. Thankfully, that's actually not the case at all. The Galaxy S20 FE ships with a 12MP primary, 12MP ultra-wide, and 8MP telephoto cameras. The 12MP primary camera is the exact same one you'll find in the regular S20, and this means it's really darn good. Low light performance is strong, images are very detailed, and you'll find colors that are very vibrant and saturated, which is just a trait of Samsung's image processing. What's even better is that the other sensors also manage to hold their own. That telephoto camera allows for real 3x optical zoom, and the ultra-wide sensor allows for a 123-degree field of view. You obviously lose some detail when shooting with these secondary cameras, but they allow for a lot of fun photo possibilities, with the end results actually looking pretty great. And ensuring none of this impressive hardware goes to waste, the Galaxy S20 FE ships with a software experience that you should find very familiar. The S20 FE ships with One UI 2.5, which is based off of Android 10, and if you've used any Samsung phone in the past year or so, you'll be right at home here. Whether it's the very distinct look of One UI or all of the features Samsung crams into the software, you know what you're getting into when you get the S20 FE. Now, I'm someone that personally prefers the simplistic and clean look of a Pixel or stock Android interface, but I've got to say that using the S20 FE and some other Samsung phones over the past year, I've really come to appreciate what Samsung does with its software. From things like Samsung DeX, Link to Windows, or any of the countless other features that One UI gives you, I'm starting to understand why so many people genuinely love and prefer this version of Android as their go-to take on it. And this is all made even better when you consider that the Galaxy S20 FE is backed by 3 years of updates. Samsung recently made this commitment for a lot of its phones, and that means when you buy the S20 FE, you can rest assured that it's going to get updated to Android 11, Android 12, Android 13, and so on. Samsung used to be one of the worst companies when it came to software updates, so over the past year, it's been really exciting to see the company really take ownership of really changing things around here. Now, okay, if the Galaxy S20 FE is so great, how in the world does it cost as little as it does? There is one single area where it's obvious Samsung made a compromise, and that is with the Galaxy S20 FE's construction. Unlike any of the other S20 models, the Galaxy S20 FE has a plastic design. Now, Samsung caught a lot of flack when it shipped the Note 20 with a plastic back, but it feels much more at place here on the more affordable S20 FE, whereas the Note 20 was a full flagship with a $1,000 price. But to be perfectly honest, in regards to price or not, the S20 FE feels fantastic. The plastic that Samsung uses here is incredibly sturdy, there's still an aluminum frame to give it a nice bit of rigidity, and the matte plastic coating means you don't really have to worry about fingerprints at all. And perhaps the best part about all of this, because of the plastic back, Samsung can offer a ton of great colors. Now, I personally have the orange variant here, but you can also pick up the S20 FE in red, lavender, minty, green, white. There are so many great ones to choose from, and honestly, no matter which one you go with, you're going to end up with a really great looking phone. So yeah, the Galaxy S20 FE is kind of amazing. Now, you still have the regular Galaxy S20, the S20 Plus, and the S20 Ultra if you want the very best of what Samsung has to offer, but for the vast majority of folks, all you really need is the FE. There really isn't anything about the phone that feels like it isn't flagship worthy, so the fact that you can get it for $700 is pretty amazing. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we've already seen Samsung offer some pretty great discounts for it. I have had an absolute blast using the Galaxy S20 FE for the past few days, and honestly, I can't wait to keep using it going into the next year. Now that you know what we think about the Galaxy S20 FE, we would love to hear from you. Head down to the comments section below, let us know if you've picked up the phone, and if you haven't, maybe what's holding you back. Once you've done that, be sure to click the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And once you're done doing all of that, be sure you stick here on the Android Central YouTube channel because we have a lot to offer. Check out our reviews of the Google Pixel 5, which is a close competitor for the S20 FE, or the just downright crazy LG Wing. Once again, I've been Joe Marion from Android Central. Thank you so much for watching, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.